Good morning. I'm Amy Slaughter-Myers, one of the co-rectors here at St. Francis Episcopal Parish and Community Center. Last week, I shared with you the process of lectio divina, holy reading. That's a process that I use when I prepare for preaching, a way of reading and praying through the scripture, in this case, the gospel passage that I'm assigned to preach on any given Sunday, and to read through it prayerfully in silence and to meditate on any words or phrases or images that may be coming up for me. And that's the first encounter that I have with the text that I'm going to preach on is in this lectio divina. And I wanted to share with you that one of the great aids of praying through the gospel passage or any passage of scripture is using different translations, I have found that when I use different translations, and there are as many as 40 and likely more English translations of the biblical text, that enriches my prayer, that enriches my contact with scripture. And just to give you an example, I'm going to use a really, really brief phrase of scripture, and I'm going to read it to you in 5 different English translations. So you can hear how different they are, and you can close your eyes, let the words come over you, and try to see if there is a different image that might come more deeply to you or resonate more deeply to you. This is from Revelation chapter 23, Revelation chapter 21, verse 3. Okay, this is Revelation chapter 21, verse 3. This is from the King James Bible, published in 1611. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them. King James Bible, 1611. The New Revised Standard Version, this is the Bible that you hear, that we read from in any Episcopal worship service that you are attending or have ever attended. Same verse. See, the home of God is among mortals. See, the home of God is among mortals. Very different, very, very different. Another current translation of the Bible thought to be a little bit more literal-minded, so we don't tend to use it in Episcopal worship because of how it was prepared and how the translation was accomplished. The NIV, same verse of scripture. Now the dwelling of God is with men. Now the dwelling of God is with men. The Common English Bible, this is a Bible that I personally use for my own study and prayer life, published in 2012, more of an inclusive language version that has up-to-date archaeological findings in it in terms of the manuscript evidence when in its translation. This is the Common English Bible. Again, same verse. Look, God's dwelling is here with humankind. Look, God's dwelling is here with humankind. And now finally, the Message version. This isn't actually a translation. It's more of a freer translation, a freer rendering of the biblical text, seeking to not only capture the original meaning of the words themselves, but also the colloquial nature of the Greek that the text, the original text, some of the original texts were written in. So it's a little bit more casual in its English rendering, okay? So whereas in the King James Version, we had, "Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them." In the Message, it reads, "Look, look, God has moved into the neighborhood, making his home with men and women." God has moved into the neighborhood, making his home with men and women. I encourage you to use different translations of the Bible. If you would like to try this, you can go to BibleGateway.com. You can look at what the gospel is assigned for this Sunday, July 4th, and you can enter in that verse, and it will spit out for you all 40 English translations of that verse. I'd love to hear if you try this and love to hear what your experience in prayer is. Peace.